Intel, once the undisputed king of the semiconductor industry, was synonymous with innovation and the future of computing. Founded in 1968, Intel grew rapidly, becoming a driving force behind the PC revolution. By the 90s, Intel chips were in almost every personal computer. Their dominance in the market was unmatched, and the innovation powered the growth of the digital age. From the release of the first microprocessor in 1971 to the Pentium processors that later became household names, Intel seemed unstoppable. They weren't just a tech company, they were a symbol of computing power itself. But like many giants, Intel became comfortable at the top, and that's when the cracks started to show. Intel's rise to dominance was built on innovation and leadership, but in recent years, that narrative has changed dramatically. At its peak in 2014, Intel controlled 90% of the CPU market share. Their chips, like the Core series, set the standards for performance and power efficiency. Intel's tick-tock development model, which alternated between shrinking the chip manufacturing process and improving the architecture, kept them ahead of the competition. But around 2015, that all started to change. Intel's dominance in PCs and servers remained strong, but their influence in newer markets like mobile and energy-efficient devices lagged behind. One of Intel's first major missteps was its failure to capture the mobile market. As smartphones and tablets began to dominate, companies like Qualcomm and ARM-based chipmakers took the lead. Intel made a few attempts to enter the mobile market, but they just couldn't keep up. Their chips were too power hungry for smartphones, and by the time they realized their mistake, it was too late. Intel had the opportunity to develop processors for mobile devices, but they underestimated the importance of efficiency over sheer processing power. ARM architecture, used by companies like Qualcomm, was far more power efficient, which is critical for battery-operated devices like smartphones and tablets. Instead of pivoting, Intel doubled down on their traditional PC and server markets, which led to them missing out on the mobile revolution. And that wasn't Intel's only oversight. As they rested on their PC dominance, AMD, a long-time rival, was preparing a massive comeback. For years, AMD was seen as the underdog, but Intel underestimated them badly. In 2017, AMD launched the Ryzen series, a line of processors that matched or exceeded Intel's in terms of performance, whilst often being more affordable. AMD's focus on multi-core performance, innovation in chip design, and aggressive pricing caught Intel off guard. Intel, which had only been comfortable delivering only incremental upgrades to its processors, suddenly found itself playing catch-up. Intel's response was slow and lacked the aggressive innovation needed to counter AMD's offensive. This led to Intel losing market share to AMD, especially in gaming and high-performance computer markets. But Intel's woes didn't stop there.
Well, today, we are incredibly excited to announce our first step in this transition with our first chip designed specifically for the Mac. And we call it M1.
In 2020, Apple announced they would be transitioning their Mac lineup away from the Intel processors to their own custom-designed Apple Silicon, based on ARM architecture. This was a major blow. Apple's M1 chips shocked the industry with its incredible performance and energy efficiency. By designing their own chips, Apple was able to optimize both hardware and software integration in ways that Intel simply couldn't match. Intel's monopoly on high-performance consumer laptops and desktops was now crumbling. Apple's decision signaled the end of Intel's influence in one of the most lucrative segments of computing. The lesson: Intel had grown complacent, not just with their AMD, but with its major partners like Apple. They assumed their position was unshakable, but in tech, nothing stays certain forever. Competition can come from anywhere. And if all of this wasn't enough, Intel's recent releases haven't gone smoothly. The 13th and 14th gen processors have been plagued by reports of instability. Intel has confirmed that these crashes have been fixed. However, this has caused irreparable damage to their brand image, leaving some consumers lacking trust in Intel's offerings. Intel's attempt to enter the GPU market with its Arc series struggled to gain any traction, facing stiff competition from established players like Nvidia and AMD. The Arc GPUs suffered from driver issues and underwhelming performance, limiting their impact on users. However, Intel is aiming for redemption with its upcoming Battlemage GPUs, set to release soon, promising better performance and improved software support as they continue to push for relevance in the GPU space. These are exactly the kinds of problems Intel can't afford right now, with competitors like AMD and Apple taking the lead in performance, efficiency, and stability. What was once Intel's strong suit, reliability, has now become another concern. These issues have added to the growing sentiment that Intel's days may be behind them unless they can make significant changes. So what can we learn from Intel's fall from grace? The biggest takeaway is that even the most dominant companies must continue to innovate and adapt. Complacency is a killer. Intel ignored early warning signs in the mobile market, underestimated AMD's resurgence, and lost a key partner in Apple. For any business, the lesson is clear. You can't afford to ignore your competition or become too comfortable with your market position. Innovation needs to be constant, and you must stay ahead of trends, not react to them when it's already too late. Intel is still a giant in the industry, but if they want to regain their former glory, they'll need to make bold changes and fast.